Hi!
Whoa,
Yay.
man, hey!
How's it going, buddy?
Good to see you, Devin.
Good to see you, too.
John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar with Devin Townsend backstage at Marathon Motorworks in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, Devin, you're at the tail end of the never-ending tour.
Good Lord, man.
Like hundreds of dates in this year.
Yeah. Last one today.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Great, well, let's start with this crazy guitar, man. First,
Sure.
how the LEDs? How? What?
Well, it's for blues jams, right?
Yeah, right.
You want to go in and just, impress a buddy with your 12-bar prowess.
Right.
But I mean...
Riggs and Dad that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, a lot of what I do live is... there's a certain amount of theater to it.
Right, like your Royal Albert Hall thing.
Yeah.
The pageantry of that was so... I loved it, man.
It's all just repressed adolescence. On some level,
Yeah.
it's like Glee,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But I mean, ultimately, when I'm at home, I usually just write with a simple guitar, sort of like a Tele style or single coil or whatever. But I do find that when you go out on tour, like a lot of what you're trying to achieve here is you're trying to give people a couple of minutes away from the bullshit of it all, right? So, and I do like, Star Wars, and I'm a science nerd and physics. So for years I've been trying to find a guitar that would kind of play the role of like the Les Paul custom sort of sound. Mm-hmm. But anybody that I worked with before, my ideas were always a little too far-fetched until I met Framus. And they were like, well, give it to us. As far as you can go, we'll take it. So we've been working on 2 signature models, and this is a prototype for the actual signature. It's called a Stormbender. Hey,
okay.
Which you can't really say with a straight face, but it's at the end of the year and I'm broken, so it's a Stormbender. And the actual model comes out at NAMM this year, and the differences are slight, but it's like a little less round, and this horn or this contour is gone. It's thicker. The heel is a little different. You can have it so because the strap lock's going to be here now, you can actually place it down. We made the angle of the headstock so when you put the guitar on the ground, when you accidentally step on the guitar, which if you're anything like me, you will.
It's going to happen.
It won't snap the headstock off as well.
Cool.
So basically it's 25.5-inch scale, ebony fretboard, mahogany body, maple top. It's a set neck. The middle on the final version is like a carbon fiber, but it's just a top, right? The lights are basically, it's the theater part of it. But this does serve a practical purpose.
Oh, yeah.
When you're walking on stage and you're about to assume rock pose 42, which is
Right.
this one.
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of reference for where your fingers are going to go, and that really helps. And these pickups are a signature.
Nice. Nice.
Hey, right.
Yeah.
Please support me because prog metal doesn't pay. And it's with Fishman, and they're called the Transcendence pickups. See, I get credit for tenacity, but none for naming products, apparently. But it's a really cool concept because like everything I'm trying to do, I'm trying to achieve sort of the maximum amount of efficiency and stability. And I want to do 2 things at one time. So at home, I'll have like a Telecaster sort of sound, but then when I go to heavy, I want to have the EMG with like a set neck, Les Paul custom sort of a thing. And ne'er the twain did meet. So I went down to, right? I went down to Boston and I worked with Larry Fishman. I don't know if you've heard of him, of Fishman fame. Oh, you have heard of him?
Sure.
Yeah, personal friend. Yeah, we worked on this, and it's basically half of it is ceramic, and the other half is whatever the other type is. Yeah. Right?
The other kind.
Yeah, the other kind.
Yeah.
It's a little half and half. This switch here basically gives you 3 tonal options. Because of the Fluence technology where they stack the coils, it's vertical windings. You can have separate voices, and they're distinct voices, so it's not like a variation of the same pickup. So we voiced this to be a active pickup sound, really heavy sort of metal sound with a fast attack and the sort of built-in compression. But for me, maybe it's because my hearing is messed up, we scooped about 3.5K just a touch, and we boosted the bottom. Then when you switch to here, it changes the entire pickup set to a low output, low gains, separately voiced single coil.
Wow.
So both of these are now single coils in that position, right?
Is there a huge volume disparity between the two setups?
Well, because they're active pickups and because there's a preamp in it, we were able to boost it, so it makes sense between the two. But it's a very distinct sonic difference, and they're also they're charged with a USB, so you don't have to pound through
no
the battery.
9-volt.
We're saving the world one
for
battery
you.
at a time while we're hauling across the country in a huge, barfing, carbon-emitting monstrosity of a vehicle.
Well, you win some, you lose
Hypocrisy,
some. You give
brother.
a little.
You get a little.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
Then the bridge. I'm sorry,
that
I keep rambling.
huge, crazy bridge.
Okay,
man.
so they invented sliced bread somewhere along the line, and the next in line of humanity's most important inventions, in my estimation, is the Evertune bridge, which, for those of you who don't know it, it's a mechanical contraption that basically allows you, with 3 zones on your tuning pegs, you string it up like normal, and in the second zone, you turn the tuning peg for about 12 revolutions, in which the pitch doesn't change. You set it halfway through there, and you actually set your pitch with an Allen key here, and then these springs in the back will maintain the. Cold. Can you hear it? Is it sexy? No.
Yeah.
All right.
Very sexy.
It will maintain.
Very.
It will maintain the tension of where you set this. So no matter what you do, like you can fly with it, you could play it in the rain. The headstock could be smashed around, and it will maintain its tune. Some people say, well, in that you can't bend, but there's a third zone where you get it up to the top, and then of course you can bend it. However, you go down at the middle of it, and you're like. So it's like, if you're tracking somebody who has poor intonation, you put them into the middle of that second zone and you're good to go.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yes.
That moved a little fast for
Come
me.
on.
So
Yeah?
So it's basically, it's tuning your guitar as you.
It is not. It is not. No. Basically.
Well, then how the hell, when you just pulled that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, because it's, when I first.
This might be a little in depth. I don't know.
It's good though. It's good
yeah.
because a lot of people, I think, could benefit from this technology. Say you've installed an Evertune, which you can't do because you need it professionally installed, but say you've got one in there.
So is this a proprietary Framus thing?
It is not. Evertune is a company that basically its whole modus is just to sell these bridges and keep us all in tune.
Okay.
But some companies, like when the Stormbender comes out, it's going to be part of it at the highest level.
Yeah.
Because I think the unit itself is about $300, and it's the same sort of a routing job as like maybe a Floyd Rose, about the same amount of wood that's going to come out of it, right?
So the Mondo Deluxe model will have that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So basically, once it's in there, you put your string through as normal and you tune it up. But then you'll find at a certain point, the pitch stops changing. See?
Yeah.
So the first instance there where the string would change is called zone 1, and this is zone 2, and you'll see it goes for about 12 revolutions, and then all of a sudden, then it goes sharp. So what you do is you go into the middle of that. In the middle there is where the bend doesn't happen. And in that, you tune it up. You tune it up here, and you do your intonation and everything. Once it's in tune, you move it up to the cusp of the next one, and then back it off. And at that point, then you can bend it. We got off of a plane. We had been flying into Germany. It was like a 12-hour flight. We were on at midnight. It was pouring rain. I took the guitars out of the case, and they're perfectly in tune. And as a singer, to have that sort of, it's training wheels for me.
Oh, yeah.
So in the studio, I've got 2 of these guitars, one of them tuned to open C, one of them tuned to open B, and I just leave them at that. So if you find in the studio where you're looking for your inspiration, you're like, I got this great riff, you pick up the guitar and you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta, and it's not in tune, and then you put it down, and then you're trying to capture the inspiration. Later you gotta redo it, and you can't get the same sound. By having this system, I'm always ready to go. It's sick. And in fact, I had put a wall hanger on the wall, strangely, to hang the guitar, and I did it really poorly, as I do with most everything in my life other than music. And I came back an hour later, and it had broken. The guitar had fallen off the wall, hit the 12th fret on a chair, was face down on the ground. I picked it up, and it was in tune.
Wow.
So, yeah, for those of us who are not careful, it is the shit.
Yeah. No, you probably shouldn't try that at home, but if it happens, apparently.
Canadian thing, guys.
Yeah. Wow, that's Amazing. Okay, very cool. Now, what is this mystery switch right there?
That is for the penis extender.
Good. Well, gotta have it.
Yeah, right. Trust me. You gotta. You're not gonna hit the bottom, but you'll work the boards, bud.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Transcendence pickups, Fishman. They give you 2 sounds for the bipolar nature of what most of us do, or at least me. This is a prototype of the Stormbender. Oh, God. And on the final one, the Evertune won't be visible. That was just because we were experimenting with body thickness.
Sure.
Right? And that's it. It's 25.5-inch scale. This one's actually 24 3/4, but I decided because I'm an open C or open B.
And that's your jam. You are an open tune guy.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin, man.
Yeah.
That was it. And the headstock on the final one is going to be bigger. We're using the Grover tuners, but the larger ones, these smaller ones, seem a little less manly.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. The aesthetics pretty.
The aesthetics are cool. The aesthetics are cool. But if you're at NAMM this year, go check them out at Framus. We've got the 2 final prototypes, and we've got a version that's coming out that's a team-built version and also a Chinese version as well. So they'll be affordable for one and all.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And over here you have
another prototype.
One. Yeah. Do you want to just plug this thing in, or do you want to just
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
In B. I mean, it's like this one, again, these ones are all, these weren't made available yet. And after I asked Framus, and this is another thing I loved about this company as well, is I said, if we're going to do it, I want it to be perfect for me. So let me tour with the prototype for a year.
Yeah.
So these ones I've toured, and I realized that, for example, this needs to go. It's too round. It's not big enough. I want a little thicker. I want a little heavier. This needs to move up a little bit for when I do the tapping.
Yeah.
You know, this wants to be a little thicker so you can stand it on the ground. But essentially what we're trying to do is achieve the sound of a Les Paul Custom, kind of set neck, mahogany maple combination with a bit of weight to it.
Yeah.
But also
with the ebony.
With the ebony, yeah. And then also be able to achieve a reasonable sort of single coil Telecaster type sound.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And this one has a different.
That's what the final one's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What
acid, man?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. What do you? So what do you?
You heard it first. Premier Guitar. Acid.
So what does that represent?
What? It's a collision between the energies, brah. You've
Clearly.
got the red and the blue, and it comes together, and everything is an infinite mosaic of perfect, infinite present. Yeah.
Right, that's what I thought. Yeah. So what are you stringing these things with?
D'Addario. I've been using D'Addario for, 40 years.
Yeah.
But
what gauge?
At 10 through 52.
Wow, because you're right down there.
Yeah.
Now, when you were with Vi, were you still in an open tuning at that point?
Well, it was a little less efficient to do it with somebody who's in standard, right?
Yeah, I would think. And your own thing, anything goes.
Yeah.
But trying to cover that thing.
Yeah, it wasn't standard back then. Yeah. But no matter what I've been tuned to, I always use the same string gauge. Really? So yeah, in standard it's still 10 through 52, or drop B it's 10 through 52, or drop C. I don't know. It's like it has its own character in each, and for low tunings, a lot of times the thought is, well, you need really thick strings, you know, like your bottom needs to be a 64 or something. But for me, I really like the sound of maybe slightly thinner strings, tune low, and because of this tuning system, I can get away with that, right?
Yeah, because you don't hear a lot of flop in there, but you would think you would, because you're in baritone range.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Well, this is why on the final version we changed it to a 25.5 as well. Yeah. It's like a little squishy right now.
Sure.
But I love it, man.
Yeah, well, that's killer, man. Okay, so two great signature guitars, signature pickup.
Yay!
Jeez.
Okay. But I wouldn't take signature strings because I like my balls to be colored like the way D'Addario does.
They color your balls, yeah.
Every day.
Okay.
Slather them up, buddy.
Well, let's talk about the rest of this rig.
Okay. I love doing this. I've watched rig rundowns so many times. I was saying, like we sit in the couch and I've got how it's made on TV, you know,
Yeah.
it's got the shitty techno and Leigh's like, this is how they make Smarties. And I'm like, that's vaguely interesting. But then I got the iPad beside, I'm watching you!
Yay!
And now I'm doing it!
Yeah.
World has opened up its possibilities. All right, so here we are. I get to talk about my rig now?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
talk about this
awesome.
stuff.
All right. So
Wireless.
I've been. Okay, you start. I'm
Oh, well, no,
talking.
you run with the wireless, right?
Yes, sir, yes.
And what do you
Line
got
6.
there?
Relay G90. Yeah. So basically, I use 2 of these, and each one of the belt packs goes. If there's 4 guitars, we have them set up on this radial here, and they're a great unit. We have paddles for larger stages if we want to increase our bandwidth, but I've had very few problems, if any, with dropouts, and you know they look cool.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, and so from there, where does it go?
So Radial is a company that is actually 4 minutes from our jam spot, which is really convenient.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
we bug them a lot. But this JX44 guitar distribution switcher is a brilliant unit because basically what it does in my situation is we've got these 2 A and B wirelesses, and if I've got 4 guitars, they're alternating. So this one may be A, B, A, B. And then each one of those pedals on the JR5 switcher here,
Right
our
there.
tech, when he's passing over the guitars, he just hits the button that corresponds with the guitar, and that enables that input on the JX44. On this tour, I'm only using 2 guitars, so I'm just using these A and B. And then each one of these can be distributed to 4 separate outputs. Each one of those outputs has a phase reverse and a ground lift.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's perfect. And it's got a reamp system on the back. The JR5 is powered by the XLR cable, so you can run that to Guitar World. You don't need an external power for it. Each one of these has a drag, so if your impedance is being compromised, you can adjust that per pack. And then I send both of them at the same time out to these fractals.
Okay.
But you see, because currently they're both being sent the same signal, and that's essentially what this does. These 2, bang, and these 2 into those. But shall I continue? Am I getting ahead of myself?
No. Let's
All right.
So let's take it to the fractal from there. Now you're only using one of these, right? One's a redundancy.
And as a side note, I have been working with amplifiers. I've such a gear whore, it's crazy. So I've been trying to get a certain thing, which is 2 things happening at one time. My sound has always been 2 amps, so wet, dry, wet, whatever. But this situation for me with the fractal, after exhaustively trying different amplifiers, digital solutions, is ultimately the absolute best situation for me, and with no compromise, it allows me to have 1 unit if I need. I can travel with it. It's under 25 pounds. A lot of people find the sort of digital thing to be a little sexless in a sense, but for me, the consistency of this is second to none. We're doing all our MIDI switching. For the sake of this, I've got their MFC here just to sort of go between it and show that that happens.
Sure.
But live, all our MIDI switching is remote. So we've got our lights, we've got our click tracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's all sent to the back of this. That
So
sends it
you're
through.
not hitting pedals
Nothing.
live?
Just rock mode, just rock poses all
Man,
night.
that's
man.
great. Yeah.
So basically, but you send the MIDI into this, the through goes into this one, these patch change in time. I've got a single effect, like expression pedal, that also controls both of them. If at any time this one goes down, I hit this button, and that switches all of these outputs, these 3 going to front of house, these 3 going to my onstage cabinets, to the secondary one. And there's 0 latency, 0 stopping of the show.
Wow, that's great.
It's awesome.
But with having all your changes on MIDI, can you vary it all from your show, or do solos have to be exactly the same amount of bars every time? And
Well, I do several different types of projects. We've got the DTP thing, which is kind of like more theatrical, prog rock, whatever it is. But you know, I've got
that's a big show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then we've got like orchestral stuff, and I've got this Casualties of Cool project, which is more like a country sort of thing. And each one of them is different, but this is why after so many years of messing around with gear, I've decided on this because I've got my entire world in all of this. And if I wanted to do something that was more, live, I can use
pedal
this.
board-ish.
Totally.
Yeah.
You can attach an expression pedal in that can modify any of the parameters. So if I wanted to do analog delay sweeps or whatever, you could do that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, man. It's really efficient.
And all of your effects are coming through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I've got the dry, and then the stereo effects, and on the back of this auto switcher, this radial here, there's 8 outputs on the front, but there's 16 inputs on the back. So basically, the 3 outs of this one goes to the top, the 3 outs of this one go to the bottom. A is the top, B is the bottom, and so if I switch over, those 16 inputs on the back are routed either way to the 8 inputs on the front. Has a ground lift. It's really, for me, a perfect scenario.
That's great. In front of house, can blend as much dry and wet as they want.
Yeah.
Depending on the room. And you have these EVs behind you on stage or in front of you?
I'm using these just for today, just so we have something. We just rented these for the day. On this tour, we're actually not using any backline at all. It's just this straight to the board.
Wow, so are you just in-ears on, wow, that's great.
But I've also been working with Fractal. I've been working with a bunch of people who do sort of independent impulse responses, SE microphones. All the sounds we use for the records, everything is that.
Really, so you even recorded with the Fractal?
Yeah, the last...
All those lonely amps at home just sitting there.
I've got a ton of them.
Oh, I bet. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
From the strapping.
Well, from strapping. Well, I've got this like 1958 Fender Princeton silver face champ that just sounds like $1 million.
Yeah.
But it's like, I took it to a place, I was thinking, well, this is clearly going to be a much better solution for this sound. But then you plug it in, because it's such a delicate thing, the ground created this hum.
Yeah.
And because I used so many effects, I was running my Ocean Machine pedal with an AB box, but because it's an older technology, it didn't like interacting, and then there's also all these ground things that start happening.
Right.
Plus, when you run into the front of house, you're getting honeycomb filtering, or you're getting phase problems based on the fact that there's these 2 signals coming out at the same time, right? So after all is said and done, I have this set up in my studio. I've got it set up. We've got units in Europe. We've got units that we have in our rehearsal space, and I just transfer the sounds as I write. So basically, I take the AES output of the Fractal, and I can reamp it in the studio, and then I can keep refining my sounds. And by the time I've got something, I work in conjunction with our sound man. We are sending the IRs back and forth, and at this point, I'm closer to the goals that I have been trying to achieve for my entire career with one of these units, as opposed to a myriad of other things.
So all your sounds are saved on your computer and this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like a lot of times, when people see the, the rig rundowns, people say, oh no, it's digital. Yeah. It doesn't have the same allure, and I can totally appreciate that. But from a practical working musician's point of view, and even beyond that, I've gotten to the point now where I can refine what it is I'm doing for each project, have it with me at all the time, and I tell you what, this rig itself, everything about it, being able to switch, here's here's nothing. What do you think of that?
Yeah, sounds great, man.
Yeah. It's broken because I went to the wrong output. So basically, if I wanted to do and it's to have all this, to have the sort of single coil clean sound, to have your crushing metal sound, to have your leads, to have it all auto switching, to have a redundant system, to have it under 25 pounds, to be able to record with it. It's and
awesome. The stability too is huge,
perfect.
Man. Yeah,
it's perfect. And that's the same thing. I'm not careful with anything, especially conversations, because I keep stepping on yours. It's because I'm psyched. Sorry, man. And I got a cold.
You're awesome.
I got burns in my nose.
Well, that's too cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I think you ought to play us out of this thing.
We should be mellow. What do you think?
I was thinking you're going to rip, but mellow's cool too. Whatever you do, it's your rundown, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hi there, guys. My name is Devin Townsend, and I've been watching the rig rundowns for many years now. And I would like to say a cordial thank you to the Premier Guitar guys for allowing a douche like myself to come on here and talk over this man the whole time while he's trying to ask me questions. Why? Because I am excited, but I'm also a narcissist. And the combination of those two things makes it such that now that I've got your rapt attention, you guys should buy all this stuff that I've got going on, because it'll allow me to make more music, because on some level I make a percentage on some of these things. So, but I love it. Guitar fucking rolls, right? This is the wrong music for making those noises.
Yeah, that was not really guitar rules music, but it's very pretty.
Guitar is an effervescent void in which we can lose ourselves, which is celestial beings. That's all our goal in life is to ultimately do.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.